forgive, I receive, I can feel, I believe, I am healed, I am whole, I release, I know. No need to try, no need to worry, question why, surrender, let go, release, and breathe in, I breathe in, I breathe out, I breathe out, I take in, I take in, I give out, I give out, I let go, I let go, I release, I know.
You already have your eyes closed, great. If you don't have your eyes closed yet, and if you feel comfortable to do that, please do so. And you just got your instructions to breathe, breathe, breathe. And I'd like to read these words that we just heard. No need to push. No need to try. No need to worry. No need to question why. Surrender. Let go. Release. And now. We breathe in. We breathe out. We surrender to the great and mighty and loving and generous divine presence and flow. We are a part of an ongoing, continually renewing universe constantly the life energy that Jesus called the river of life. It is constantly moving us through our lives, is constantly moving through us and around us, moving us, continually growing, deepening, transforming, awakening in physical body and out of the physical body. We are a part of the flow. We cannot exempt ourselves from this divine flow. The psalmist said it like this: "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your hands will hold me fast." And the Apostle John said this: "Through God, all things came to be. Not one thing had its being but through divine." And from Hebrews, the universe was formed at the command of the one presence. And what is seen has been brought out of what is not seen. Take another deep breath. And allow ourselves in this moment of silence to feel this one continually flowing, ever regenerating presence. This one presence, one power that is within us, around us, within all that we see, animate and inanimate, physical, non-physical. The one presence in which we live and move and have our being. In this silence, let us feel this one presence. Into this beautiful, healing, transforming energy. If you would like to speak out loud the names of the beloveds that you are holding in a consciousness of prayer, then please do so now. Once again, we hold in prayer all of our human family and all world leaders, holding the vision that they have as their highest priority, the well-being of all life. We hold in prayer all those who are in the armed forces, serving for this country. And we hold all those serving in the armed forces of all countries. We bless all those soldiers who are carrying guns, and all those soldiers who are putting their guns down. We bless the heart of humanity as we wake up, wake up, wake up. The fighting ceases. We surrender to love. Peace, peace, peace. And we say, so it is, and so let it be. Namaste. And the light is coming, the light is here, and the light is in your heart, and the light is expanding, the light is speaking through you, shining through you, living through you, creating through you. It is a great day to remember that we are the light of the world. And we didn't get to say it this morning, so Elijah, help us remember. Who are we? Can you say it a little like the world? Yes, let's all say together, we're the
light of the world.
Yes, we are. Elijah's my main man. I'm remembering that. And some days I need to call you, Elijah, and say, "Oh, you ever forget, Elijah? Do you ever forget that you're the light of the world?" Sometimes we do. Sometimes we forget. So we need each other. You know, call. Say, now help me remember him. Especially when things are happening in our lives, beloveds are leaving, there's new souls coming in, being born in the tiny little baby bodies, and then there's the beautiful souls that are making their exit. It's all a part of the flow. All a part of the flow. All a part of the flow. Sometimes we hold our breath, we stop breathing, and then we remember, wait, I'm a part of the flow. I'm a part of the flow. I would like to acknowledge those here who have served in the armed forces. Can you stand, please, if you feel so comfortable to do so? Yeah. Any of you who have family, friends who have served or are now serving in the armed forces, please stand. Now, in this moment, I just want us to breathe into this awareness that we are all serving for the awakening. We are all serving for the awakening of consciousness. And we bless those everywhere, our whole human family, in this deep, heart-breaking and heart-opening dilemma that war can still continue in a world where so many of us are away. So we continue to breathe. We continue to breathe with soldiers everywhere. And we know the light is within us and getting stronger. And we say, so it is, and so let it be. Namaste. You know, I love this picture. I used to be in my little storage room in the upstairs attic. And one day I was cleaning, and I thought, wow, what a beautiful face. What a beautiful, lighted up. Hold on. My mother will come back to haunt me if I break this frame. What a beautiful face on him, both of them. They're so full of light and young. They're in love. The world is opening to them. They have so much to be happy for and glad for. They are so in love. They've just gotten married. This was they were both in the Navy. They got married, and he shipped out 3 months later. And then, not too long after that, his plane went down over France, and he left his body. But I pulled this out. It has a prominent place now on one of my altars in my upstairs art room. because I feel them with me, especially Uncle Dexter. Now, how can that be? I never knew him. How can it be? Because when we open our hearts to the all that is, we feel the all that is. And he is still in the circle, alive, conscious, present. And I don't know if he had reincarnated into a new body. All I know is our souls are connected. And his energy is a support for me. And it reminds me that we can be in our lives and be feeling the joy and the wonder of this moment. And we don't know what's going to happen 20,000 moments from now. But I know in my heart that the same love and joy and peace and love that was in him in that moment has only expanded and grown because I feel it so much now. The thing to remember now is not that his plane went down over France. The thing to remember now is not that they only had 3 to 6 months of married life being together. What's important to remember is that they knew love, and that they are love, and that they live in a presence of love, and that's all we have to remember.
Amen.
That is such a support to me. So this morning we're talking about intimacy with the living universe. Oh my gosh, we're still working on reading the 1,229 books that have been written on intimacy with each other. And now we have to be intimate with universe. And it's hard to feel our intimacy and trust and connection with this divine and wondrous living universe when we're still trying to figure out this. Basic unity teaching. There is one presence, one power in the universe, but now we have to change it to multiverses because we now know we're one universe among billions of universes. I hope Charles is okay with that. So there is only one presence and one power in the multi-universes.
He'll let you know.
God. But it's hard to remember when there's still this. It's hard to remember when there's still people, children, shooting each other. It's hard to remember when there is still the brokenness. We want to know this intimacy with this living universe, and then something happens on the news, CNN, in our lives, in our community, next door, something happens, and we close down to trusting this divine and holy universe. We stop trusting. We are a part of an ever-moving, ever-continually regenerating, restoring, renewing universe. But we close down to it. And as Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you? How's it working for you to close down to the divine, ever-flowing, renewing life energy of the universe? It's hard to remember when we are in dismay about so much that's going on in the world. Let's take it. Remember in metaphysics, we are alive in the absolute. We're also alive in the relative. We know that the one presence, one power, the absolute, all-flowing, renewing, regenerative life of the universe, that is the absolute that is always there, and then in our relative lives, things change from moment to moment, second to second. So, Memorial Day. This may be true. It seems we have some disagreement on when the first Memorial Day was, but it may be that it was first celebrated in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know if you can see them back there, but those are graves of Union soldiers. And in April of 1865, a group of former slaves, it seems, were left in Charleston when most of the white planters and people who lived in Charleston, they had fled. You know, when war's going on, if there's another place you can be, go be there. So it was left to these former slaves to do the work of cleaning the dead bodies out of the streets, and they chose to give those Union soldiers a proper burial. Of course, the former slaves were very glad that those Union soldiers had come to Charleston. They spent 2 weeks burying the bodies, and then on May 1st, they had a day-long funeral. And the march was led by a group of former slave children. And they marched through the town of Charleston, and they marked it as the first Memorial Day in some accounts. I know there's some other accounts. But what we do know, what happened in Charleston, is there was an honoring of the soldiers. So those former slaves opened to the what is of that moment. You know, they could have skedaddled. They could have gotten out of there. They could have started their trek up north. Who wanted to still be living in the South? Just because the Civil War was over, and just because there was now a decree that there was no more slavery, you all know the history. They could have left, but they stayed to take care of something very important. And they paid attention to the what is right in front of them. Because every moment we open to the what is, and then guess what? That changes. And we open to the next what is, and then what? That changes. Then we open to the next what is. And have you noticed, change is always happening. The universe is continuously regenerating, recycling, renewing, rebirthing, and transforming. And guess what? So are you. So am I. You've heard this before. Here, can you hold this a moment? Y'all wonder why I don't use a headphone, right? Do you know why?
Because they break.
They break on me.
That high energy.
I've got to be the high energy. And this is the book that some of us are reading right now, The Living Universe. And I want to read to you about your body, my body, and the continual renewal that we're doing. A lot of you know this. I don't know it by heart, so I'm going to read it to you. The inner lining of your intestine is renewed roughly every 5 days. Did you know that, Elijah? Every 5 days, the inner lining of your intestine is renewed. This is important stuff to know. And the outer layer of your skin every 2 weeks. We receive a new liver approximately every 2 months, and the bones in our body are fully replaced about every 7 to 10 years. Clearly, an important attribute of any living creature is continuous regeneration. And our universe is continually regenerating. Why did we think that we would be any different? The scientists now know that this universe that we live in, if it had moved just a little bit more slowly, we wouldn't be here. If it had moved just a little bit more quickly, we wouldn't be here. It is absolute perfection. Anybody who still has any idea that all this just sort of happened, I want to talk with you. How can we even consider that we are an accident that just happened? Even people, I've done rebirthing work with people, and sometimes people say, well, you know, I was an accident. I say, no. Your parents may have that story. Your parents may have told you you were an accident. Nobody's an accident. Nobody. We come from huge presence. and we are huge presence, and we make a decision to enter physicality, we find a way. We are huge soul beings. There's no accidents. That is a story none of us want to live with. This universe is not an accident. So Hilda Charlton, some of you have heard me speak of her. She was an important teacher for me. And she was a dancer in San Francisco years ago. She had her own dance troupe. And then she went to India for a series of dance performances, and she stayed 19 years. You know, life does that to us sometimes. You show up in a place for just a little while, and Spirit says, actually, you need to stay in India for about 19 years. Then she came back to New York City, and she began teaching prayer and meditation. Yes? At the, I'm going forward. Okay, it's ever renewing, ever regenerating. So she used to say, we transform energy in the way we hold one another and ourselves. Now, what does that mean? We transform one another by the way we look at one another, the way we hold one another in our gaze, the way we hold one another in our hearts. We transform each other all the time. And she could see into the heavenly realms. Back then I didn't know what was going on with that. Now I do. But she used to make a chair like this. She had in her apartment chairs for everyone to sit in, but she had a few chairs that nobody ever sit in. Like I made a chair for Uncle Dexter and Aunt Olga this morning. She had a chair for Jesus. She had a chair for Mother Mary. She had a chair for Buddha. And she had a chair for Krishna. And if you saw her and heard her talk, you might have thought she was a little bit over the edge. On the other hand, some of you would have listened to her and known that she was a high spiritual being, awakened spiritual being. And I said to her one day, I said, Hilda, I wish I could see into the heavenly realms the way you do. It must be wonderful to see into the heavenly realms and see the blessings and the bliss and the love. It must be wonderful. I want to do that. And she said, darling, one day you will. And you'll also be able to see into the depths of the hearts of everyone with whom you come in contact. Oh. Because you see, we cannot see the blissful, blessing, beautiful love in everyone unless we're also willing to see that in ourselves, and we're also willing to see the depths. We all have the depths, and we all have the great and glorious heights. And it's all a part of what it is. I have to have my heart open to feel the all of it. That includes the sadness, includes the heartbreak, so that my heart can be wide open when Spirit says, now it's time to be awake. Now it's time to get this next point. Now it's time to have this next insight. Don't close your heart down just because this moment doesn't feel great. Don't close down because your heart is breaking. Keep breathing. That broken heart is the open heart. Keep breathing. Don't close down. Don't close your heart now. We've come too far. We transform energy in the way we hold one another. We hold one another in our hearts, in our thoughts, in our love, in our blessing, in our forgiveness. But how else do we hold each other from time to time? I don't think I need to talk too much about that, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, when we hold each other that way, do you think it's only the other person who's feeling the degenerative life energy that comes when we hold each other in anything less than love? No. No, we need to stand in the center, feel each other in the presence and the oneness, and know that we're connected. And as Susan Bowles said to me last week in the office, she said, really, the only answer is love.
Amen.
To this dilemma, to that dilemma, to that dilemma, to all the dilemmas, personal, global, the only answer is love. Oh, can it be so simple?
Yep.
Love in expression is the thing we're practicing. But what we do, like the old movie projectors, remember these?
Yeah.
The old movie projectors, and if the film got stuck, what happened? Oh my God, turn it off, turn it off. The film would burn. It'd catch fire. Am I the only one who remembers the old projectors?
Yeah.
So, this thing. Okay, so, if the film gets stuck, it melts. What do we have to do? We have to stop it. We have to stop the projection. How many of us just this past week had a projection on somebody else that felt like it was burning? Burning. Stop that projection. If we're going to project, let's project out of the center of our being. Let's project wisdom. Let's project forgiveness. Let's project love. Let's project surrender to not understanding all that we will understand about someone else's action or about our own action. We want to, if we're going to project, and the point is, when we are awake, we simply are in the presence of love, peace, kindness, well-being. We are simply in the presence of the what is. I used to have a client who wouldn't use the word God. He simply said the isness. We're in the presence, and we are the presence of isness. We stop projecting. Oh, this person's bad. Oh, this person's great. Oh, this person's bad. Oh, this person's great. Hilda used to say, fame and blame, it's all the same. 1 minute they love you, baby. And the next minute, well, you're on their list. Not the A list. So we're always projecting. So if we're going to project, let's project what? Love. Okay, everybody take deep breaths. Darlings, we can see God in our own hearts, in the hearts of all others, and in all events. What? We can even see God in what happened in Santa Barbara a few days ago? Yes, God's at work. We can see God on the fields of Iraq and Afghanistan and Uganda? Yes, God's at work. How can we say that? Because we're connected with the absolute while we're living in the relative. God's at work. God's at work in all of it. How can we say that when we don't understand all the details, we don't understand all the different ways that it's going to unfold? Because we know this. We are on a continually unfolding journey of transformation and awakening. We have an amen. It came in the front. That's it. Correct. Or as Hugh Hostetler says, that explains the whole damn thing. Okay. We are living in a divinely generous universe. A divinely generous universe. Let's all say that. I am living in a divinely generous universe. There is so much love. We can share some with other universes. There is so much grace, so much love. If we can breathe through the moments that take our breath away. So, a time of transformation. Many of you know Richard and Maureen Levy. He is the minister at Unity of Wilmington, North Carolina. And right now, today, we are holding him and his family and Unity of Wilmington in our blessings, in our heart of love, as they share the news with their congregation that his passing is imminent. So we move from sadness to gratitude. When our beloveds leave physicality, when events happen in the world that take our breath away, we sometimes get caught in this place of resistance. I did when I got this news. I said, wait, God, wait a minute, check it again. Check the manifest again. Check the list again. Are you sure? Because this is one of my heart brothers I wanted to grow old with. David and I are in love with Richard and Margaret. We want to move into our elder years with them. Right? And then divine and glorious and generous and loving universe said, time to graduate. So we have at the same time sadness and gratitude for knowing our love with one another at all.
Yeah.
We live in physical together for a while. We share the journey together for a while, and then we get recycled. And then we regenerate and renew into another form. We have resistance, but we surrender.
Amen.
We surrender to the love that's present, even in the events that on a human level, we would sure like to change. We have dismay. We have dismay when our mothers die, when our fathers die, when our beloved partners die. We have resistance when our children are having a hard time. We have resistance when there's illness or a diagnosis that feels so hard. We have a resistance. We want something to be different. And this is the really perfect time to remember that we are living continually in a regenerative universe that's constantly moving us, regenerating us, renewing us, and transforming us. Richard's body is being transformed as our earth is being transformed. In oneness, we feel the perfection, and we feel the ever-present one presence. And so Richard right now is saying to all of us, darlings, we can be in oneness. Darlings, feel your existence. What a great gift to experience the physical part of living in divine universe. We have our existence in the body and out of body. We feel our consciousness connected with the great one presence, one power, the one consciousness of love, and we feel the bliss. Darlings. Darlings. Now, a few days ago, actually it was yesterday, I was telling Mary Luke, yesterday I sat in silence, as David and I have done many times with Richard and Marlene, just as recently as 3 or 4 weeks ago when they came to spend the weekend with us. We sit in silence together for about an hour. So I sat yesterday in silence, and I could feel Richard, and I could feel Sky St. John, another unity minister who transitioned out of his body. I could feel them both together, and I couldn't tell who was still in physical and who was now in non-physical, because I used to talk in terms of the veil or being on this side or that side. We talk about our beloveds, they passed over to the other side. There is no other side. I used to talk about, when the veils lift, when the veil has lifted, honey, there's no veil anymore. When we wake up, there's no veil and there's no other side.
Amen.
And so I kept sitting in oneness, and I could feel this huge community, which is so large, so huge. Not only the community of unity and the movement of unity who loves Richard and Maureen so much, I could feel them all over the world holding this place of oneness. And then all those that they know from studying the Oneness and Oneness University in India, and all of that community, and then all of the Pasana community because they're very much into Vipassana meditation and the Course in Miracles and all the people they do in the Course in Miracles. Their community is huge. And they have been living the teaching of what is unity. What is unity? Finding the one presence and one power throughout humankind and all the religions and cultures and communities and villages and fields of war. We are in oneness. Always. We have the great blessing to know our existence. We have the great blessing to be in consciousness of oneness. And we have the great blessing to know that whatever's going on in the world and in our lives, we can access bliss. Let's take a deep breath. So for all of our beloveds, wherever they are, physical or non-physical, for all of our beloveds, the human family, the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the oceans, rivers, all of our family of life, not only humankind, we are in familyship with all life. We are in oneness with all life. We are existence, consciousness, and bliss. Oneness is our great blessing. My prayer for all of us today, for Richard, his family, for all of our beloveds, those now being born into little baby bodies and those leaving the physical body, the great and beautiful beings of light. We salute all of the great beings of light, all of us here who said yes to being in physical. Said yes to being in this denser kind of dimensional reality so that we could be a part of doing what Jesus said we could do, to bring heaven to earth. And simply put, bringing heaven to earth is being awake. We give thanks today